I'm expecting like 10 or 11 wins. I think maybe 14's kind of stretching a little bit, but Eagles, Eagles fans.
Let's go 17, Dave.
Yeah, right. Why not, right? But yeah, I mean they've definitely added some key players here, and anything less than the division title, I think, is going to be a disappointment.
All right, we're going to give Dave Weinberg another try here. We'll see if we've worked through the volume issues. Dave, I'm pretty sure you hear us. Can we hear you?
I don't know. Can you?
There we yes.
All
there
right.
It is.
Very good.
Right.
Very good.
Good seeing you.
There you go. Good seeing you guys too. Thanks.
Yep,
down in Cape May, getting ready for another Memorial Day weekend. Hopefully the crowds will be.
Yeah,
the
what
weather
is
will
it
be
like?
good.
Real quick before we get into the Eagles, because I
Sure.
love Cape May, but what does it drive you crazy when the tourists come down? Obviously, it's so nice when it's peaceful, and then all of a sudden you get this influx. As somebody who lives there, does that drive you crazy?
Honestly, John, I'm one of the minority, I guess. It really doesn't bother me. I kind of enjoy the crowds. I mean, parking is a pain, of course. Tough to get into bars and stuff and restaurants, but after like a desolate winter where it's really cold and rain and snow and you don't really see anyone, I welcome the crowds. I think the more the merrier.
All right, see,
Likes
an
the
extrovert.
company.
Dave's an extrovert.
Yeah.
I'm an introvert. I want everybody out. Get out. Let me have everything to myself.
I got you.
Good on you, Dave. Getting crowded down the shore for Memorial Day. Be crowded into the Eagles locker room soon enough. We haven't talked to you during the offseason. The expectations have increased here in Philadelphia quite significantly since this offseason started, where last year ended into this year's beginning. The expectations for me are double-digit wins now, potentially a divisional championship. For some people, they're talking Super Bowl. Right now, what are your expectations of the 2022 Philadelphia Eagles?
Kind of in line with you. I'm expecting like 10 or 11 wins. I think maybe 14's kind of stretching a little bit, but Eagles, Eagles fans.
Let's go 17, Dave.
Yeah, right. Why not, right? But yeah, I mean they've definitely added some key players here, and anything less than the division title, I think, is going to be a disappointment.
Well, let's talk there. The division title. It does seem, on paper at least, the Cowboys have taken a step back. The Eagles, as you mentioned, have taken a step forward. But you do have a pretty significant difference at the most important position. I mean, Dak Prescott is a proven player, even though he's, come up not the biggest in playoff circumstances, but he's gotten there. And Jalen Hurts is still an unproven commodity for the most part, although he played well last season, continues to improve. Do you think they're close enough at the quarterback position to overtake the Cowboys?
Honestly, yeah, I do. I know there's some people that have their doubts about Jalen, and I can understand their feelings, but I think that they've surrounded him with enough players. They definitely put him in a position to succeed now, especially with AJ Brown coming into the fold. That and I'm a big Jalen Hurts guy. I think he's got the qualities that you're looking for in a successful quarterback. Obviously, his arm isn't the most accurate sometimes, but it seems like he's working on that a lot in the offseason out in California. So but I think he has the will to succeed. I think he's got the leadership qualities you really need in a quarterback. So I'm expecting him to have a really good year.
All right, John and I talk about this plenty on the show, Dave, that there just isn't as much practice time as there used to be. Between the three of us, we've all been watching the Eagles for a long time now. And yes, 2-a-day practices and a lot of hours put in. Now with the NFL CBA being what it is, there's only so much they can do. So for Jalen Hurts, the quarterback, when are we going to be able to say, I see an improvement in his accuracy? We know he played exactly snaps in preseason last year. That would be zippity-doo-dah. So McMullen gets to go and watch practices, which are nice, but again, it's not someone from a team that is attempting to stop you. There is a difference between that and anything you're going to do in practice. How many games are we going to have to see in the regular season before we go, damn, his accuracy better? That workout in California has really paid off. Getting A.J. Brown is paying buku returns. How long are we going to have to wait to be able to say, yeah, Jalen Hurts' accuracy is much improved?
I guess it depends on the game plan. And if they run the ball 50 times, you're not going to get the opportunity.
That's not happening. They're getting away from that. Same exact thing this year as last year. When Sirianni gets thrown up against the wall at 2-5, then they'll turn into a running team. But before that, they're going to try and throw the football.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're going to have to wait long. I would think the opening game against Minnesota is going to give you at least a little bit of evidence. I would hope it would. I mean, I think he's going to come out of the gate, like you said, throwing the ball. And I don't think it's going to take long for you to get kind of like at least a taste of what he's capable of doing.
You mentioned Minnesota. That's the home opener on Monday night.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, my mistake.
No, yeah, they open on the road in Detroit. I bring that up because on paper, and then it's Washington, Carson Wentz, not the greatest team, obviously, and then Jacksonville, Doug Peterson coming back in. So unlike last year, those first 4 games, on paper, the Eagles are probably going to be favored in all 4 of those games. So I ask you, if they lose 1, or God forbid they lose 2, how quickly do the wheels start to and people start losing their mind, so to speak? You've been around this team a long time. Those expectations have risen maybe to somewhat unrealistic degree.
Yeah.
Do they have to get off to a good start? Do they have to be 4-0? Do they have to be at worst 3-1?
John, if they lose the opening coin toss of the first game, people are going to complain.
No. They always win the coin toss, and they always defer.
That's true. Very true. Very true. I think I might pull an Andy Reid maybe and open with an onside kick just to get people excited again. But yeah, I mean, you know the Eagles fans, both of you guys. I mean, they're a fickle bunch, and they can turn on you on a dime. I mean, if you, God forbid, lose to Detroit or lose even one of those first 4 games, the stuff is going to hit the fan. It always does. But then maybe if they can come back and win a couple more games in a row, get to 5-1 or something like that, then people will turn right back around and start thinking Super Bowl again. And it's always a week-to-week thing with them.
You, Dave, for those who don't know, Dave covered the Eagles for a very long time for the Press of Atlantic City, columnist there, beat writer as well. So you have been around this team from the first incarnation of Howie Roseman to Howie Roseman 2.0. And now all of a sudden, here we are, Dave, where people seem to be, I don't know if it's fair to say fleeing the Eagles front office, but they've lost, 6 significant executives over the past 6 months, basically.
Right.
Do you think Howie's falling back into some of those issues he had earlier in his career, the Howie 1.0 that had difficulty at times working with others?
That's a possibility. I don't know for sure, not being in the building, but I don't know if it's whether all the people left to pursue better opportunities or if it's they got tired of working under Howie. That's a tough question. I would like to think that he learned from those mistakes in the first go around. It seemed like he did, but then Howie likes to be in charge. Howie likes to make the decisions regardless of what he might say. So there's probably a degree of truth to what you're saying, that maybe they just got tired of it. That's a possibility.
Dave, want to get you to weigh in on this because it's something John and I have debated over the last, since the draft started, and we'll debate it all the way up until they start playing and actually logging percentage of snaps. I was a huge Nakobe Dean fan. Leading up to the draft, I was trying to figure out a way that the Eagles could take Nakobe Dean with one of their first-round draft picks. When they had first, they had 3, then they cut it down to 2. They ended up only making 1, made it a real good one, by the way. They had 2 or 3 picks. I was hoping that the Eagles would put history in their rearview mirror and take a linebacker with a first-round draft pick. Well, they got a first-round quality linebacker in the 3rd round in Nakobe Dean. I was just tremendously impressed with what the kid did on the field for Georgia. And I think the Eagles got very lucky to get their hands on him. If he's going to get on the field, he's going to have to supplant one of their two, at least on paper, starting linebackers, which are Edwards in the middle and Kazir White outside. The Eagles are not very often going to go to a 3 linebacker set because your base defense now is with 3 cornerbacks and Avonte Maddox is on the field. Who's going to get the most snaps at linebacker for the Eagles this year? Between those 3 guys, is it, assuming health, is it going to be Dean? Is it going to be Edwards? Is it going to be White?
Well, if you're assuming that Dean is healthy, then I would guess it would be him. He's, younger, very well regarded, like you said. I don't quite get the hate for TJ Edwards, though.
I'm with you, Dave. The most underrated player on this team.
Yeah, he's right there for me too. I just think he's a legitimate NFL linebacker. He's always around the football. He knows how to play that position. One of the smartest guys on that defense. So I'm not quite willing to put him on, on the pile quite yet. But they wouldn't have drafted Dean if they didn't think that he was going to be the guy. I wouldn't think.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair way to look at it. And once you start dropping into the 3rd round, there was tremendous value with Nakobe Dean. Tough to pass up at that point. I want to talk about the defense as a whole with you, Dave, because there were a lot of upset people, and again, Philadelphia fans like a certain style of football, very aggressive. Buddy Ryan like, blitz or, everything's blitz. And Jonathan Gannon was basically the exact opposite of that. I'm going to play 2 high safety. I'm going to eliminate big plays. And for the most part, overall, the Eagles did that somewhat successfully with the talent they had. At times they were a top 10 defense, which, you can look at the advanced numbers and say it was a little bit worse than that. They certainly gave up too many completions, too many easy completions. But what were your thoughts on Jonathan Gannon as a first-year defensive coordinator? And now that he has some talent, Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean, Hassan Reddick, James Bradbury, do you think change is coming?
I was a little underwhelmed at first, obviously, as everybody else was. It seemed like people wanted Gannon fired after like the first 4 or 5 games. He did a very good job of adjusting, I thought, and turning things around a little bit. Although I would argue that when they went against the elite offenses, they didn't fare so well. But with the talent that they have now, I would expect them to be a much better defense. Plenty of depth on the front. 17 cornerbacks they can choose from now. I don't know about safety though. I know they're big on Marcus Epps, but I'm not so sure. But evidently they think they know what they're doing. So I guess you got to go with their gut and what they're feeling.
Dave, got to get your take on this. Something we discussed earlier in the week. The possibility of Nick Foles coming back here to Philadelphia. There was a report after he signed with the Indianapolis Colts that the Eagles had at least inquired about it. Adam Schefter said yesterday on 97.5, the Fanatic in Philly, that it was more Nick Foles related, that he was hoping to come back to Philadelphia more than the Eagles were interested in him, which is kind of an about face because the year before
he didn't want to come back.
Right.
Yeah.
So Nick needs to make up his mind here if Schefter's got the report right. Whoever wanted the reunion to happen, if we can put that aside, what would have been the upside?
Sorry, guys, you cut out on me.
Okay, I'll repeat. What would have been the upside? What would have been the downside of Nick Foles in Philadelphia, Part 3?
Well, we froze up. Tone. Yeah, I'd like James' reaction.
Did you see that Schefter report that Nick was the guy who was trying to initiate it, trying to get traded back here to Philadelphia? John and Dave, why do you think that was?
I think he probably would have been think he's better off where he is with Frank Reich being reunited with him. If it had been like the same regime, like Doug Peterson, those kind of guys that are still here, I think Nick would have probably been a little bit more comfortable with things. But yeah, I'm a little surprised that he would want to come back, like I said, with everything. Nothing's the same as it was when he was here. So that surprises me a little bit. I think he's much. I mean, I'm a huge Nick Foles fan, as people know, and what he did in 2017 was nothing short of magical, and 2018 for that matter. But I think it's probably time for him to move on, and it would have been fun, but fun to talk about. But I don't know if Jalen needs that kind of pressure from fans and stuff with Nick being in the background.
That was my question, Dave, and the fact that, and I'm not even worried about Jalen that much because Jalen has the personality, I think, to handle it. But
yes, absolutely.
We talked earlier about those first 4 games. Imagine the pressure you're putting on the head coach if you get off to a poor start, and Nick Foles is sitting there behind the Jalen Hurts, a young, still evolving quarterback. Why would the Eagles want to put Nick Sirianni in that position to deal with that as a young coach? I think people forget Nick Sirianni is still growing in his job. Why do you want to invite that controversy with Nick Foles?
Yeah, very true. One that's just another distraction that Nick probably doesn't need. That's true.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, it was to me, the whole story was crazy, but the back and forth on who wants who and what wants what. Howie Roseman's just got to stop. Stop with Nick Foles. Stop. It was great, as you mentioned, Dave. Great run. There's a statue. Let's all pay homage to it. But it's over. No more Nick Foles in Philadelphia. I'm declaring it over on Birds 360.
No more shrines in the locker room, right?
And I'm undeclaring it because it's going to happen again. Whether it's next offseason or in 2024, until Nick Foles is officially come out and said he's retired,
it's over. I've declared
it will be restoked again. I guarantee it.
There you go. Yep. I just want to know when they're getting a punter. Can somebody tell me that?
Yeah. All right. Let's talk punter. Let's talk Aaron Cepas, Dave.
He's terrible. Oh my gosh. How did they not draft one?
He was pretty good the first half of the season. Then he just fell off the cliff.
Yep.
It is interesting. You have a 90-man offseason roster. Yeah, as you mentioned, you have 17 cornerbacks. I'm exaggerating. You got 100 wide receivers. Why can't you bring in a punter to compete with Aaron Cepas? We saw it over the years with, Donnie Jones when he was entrenched, Dave. They never brought in competition. But until Cam Johnson, they eventually did. Mm-hmm. But this is a clear indication that they want Aaron Cepas to win the job. Why do they want Aaron Cepas to win the job?
Yeah, I mean, he's not exactly entrenched in. I mean, as a Pro Bowler or anything. I just, like you said, he fell off a cliff the second half of the year. What's the harm in drafting a guy in the 7th round or signing an undrafted free agent or one of the 1,000 punters that are unemployed as free agents? Why can't you bring one in to see if they can beat him out? I don't see the harm in it.
Yeah.
Well, now they might want to keep him because Australia is Eagle territory.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe so. What's a little longer leash this year for Aaron Cepas because they're going to be selling a lot of Eagle merch in Ghana and Australia
and New Zealand. Don't forget about New Zealand. I wonder if Jordan Mailata was the bigger part of Australia or Aaron Cepas. Which do you guys think is bigger?
Well, the bigger Mailata jersey is bigger, so you probably sell it for a higher amount. So I would go Mailata on that one. Do you guys really know what kind of numbers we're talking about here that teams have been given and or exercise rights to be able to sell their stuff? And I get the whole let's make the NFL global kind of thing, kind of thinking, but is it as big a deal as some people think it is that the NFL is spreading its wings, is going to try and spread its merchandise all over the planet?
Honestly, I don't follow it that much. I'll defer to John on this one.
I would say merchandise is more important than I've actually had this discussion with people at the league office. Nobody, if football is a distinctly American game, unlike some other sports that the world plays, basketball, hockey, soccer, obviously,
True.
which they would call football. People outside of this country don't even understand football. It's so complicated and so over legislated, which I talk about all the time. And the league, because they're like, well, it's so popular here. They don't see it. They don't see it. Like if you grow up in Spain or London or somewhere in Germany, they're having games, even Mexico, and you're sitting around doing nothing and you're talking to rules based officials and you need a special announcer to explain the rules to people. You can imagine if you weren't growing up with professional football, you don't know what the heck is going on. So other than the merchandise aspect of it, which is real, and like anywhere else, it might be cool in Australia to get a Jordan Mailata jersey. They understand the NFL like we understand Australian rules football, which I don't know about you guys, but I don't understand at all because I didn't grow up with it.
Yeah. True. Yeah. That's a good point. Yep.
I actually knew Australian rules football because back in the day I was working at ESPN when they were showing Australian rules football.
Oh, wow.
Live.
Jody, you're the only one.
I got the referee moved down rather than this. That's the Australian rules football segment for the sport. All right, last thing for me, Dave. We discussed this earlier on the show. I want to see if you fall on one side or the other. If I told you that Jalen Hurts going forward the next 3, 4, 5 years was Randall Cunningham Part 2 or Donovan McNabb Part 2, which would you be rooting for him to be?
Oh, wow. Boy, that's a tough one. Man, that's a really tough. I would say Donovan McNabb.
Okay.
Only because of his sustained success. I mean, got them to the playoffs so many times. Randall was an immense talent, but someone who really didn't quite fulfill his potential through no fault of his own, I don't think. But yeah, I would probably go Donovan McNabb. How about you guys?
They never called Donovan McNabb the ultimate weapon.
This is true. Very true. Yeah.
No, but I think Jody and I were discussing this earlier, Dave. I think he's more of a Donovan McNabb style player than a Randall Cunningham style player. That's sort of my argument. And if he becomes Donovan McNabb Part 2, that's really, really good. I mean, that's not true. Bad. But he is Dave Weinberg at Dave Weinberg 19. You can follow him on Twitter, columnist for 97.3 ESPN.com. You can also read his own blog, Dave Weinberg, extrapoints.com. His extra points column ran for years in the press of Atlantic City. Jody went quarterback. I'll go wide receiver, and I'll keep it current for my last question, Dave. Who's the best receiver on this team, A.J. Brown or DeVonta Smith?
A.J. Brown, I think. I mean, DeVonta's got potential, but 1 year just isn't enough for me. Better player right now. Sorry about that.
A.J. Brown. All right. I think DeVonta Smith is going to be better than A.J. Brown. I don't know when, but you're probably right. He's got to prove it, but I think he's got a higher upside.
Okay. Dave, I agree with that.
Dave, great stuff. We appreciate catching up with you. What's it like down the shore today? You going to do any beach combing? What are you going to get out and do? McMullen's already jealous.
Yeah.
The golf course is calling my name.
Nice.
Always the golf course. You don't go get any Cape May diamonds. You've been doing it for too long, huh, Dave? You don't care about Cape May diamonds.
Not even a little bit.
My wife still loves those things. Yeah. She still loves those things.
Oh, yeah? Okay. Very good.
Give me a Cape May diamond when you get
it. Give me a Cape May margarita anytime.
Ooh, that too. That one you can count me in for. Dave, hit him long and strong. Thanks for hopping on with us today, bud.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Anytime.